Step 2 of the AAA methodology, affirmation. And again, I highlight or I underline the word firm because we are trying to build a firm foundation. You are trying to build firmness in your resolve. That's what this step is all about. Building a firm foundation and firmness in your resolve and commitment to act. That's what this is all about. So let's look at how this dynamic works. So again, you're going to do this aloud and in the mirror. So when you're preparing for shadow work, you understand the conceptual ideas, you set the set and the mindset and the setting. Sit down in front of a mirror. If you don't have one, use your own webcam on your computer or your laptop. There's a good mirror, okay? You could place that anywhere on a desk, turn the camera on, point it at your face, and say what you need to say to yourself. And here's what you do in step 2. Step 2 of the AAA shadow work methodology is affirmation. In this second stage of shadow work, we will strive to gain an accurate understanding. Again, it's aligned with the trivium. The first is knowledge and saying outright and honestly what the facts are. The second step is you have to try to gain an understanding of the knowledge that you spoke in part 1. You stated the knowledge in part 1. Now you have to gain an understanding. You have to understand the why that it's there and how to go about correcting it. And then in step 3, you actually do the correction. So, we'll strive to gain an understanding of what we must actually do to improve ourselves and to begin to understand the specifics of how we must change. This is where you are learning the dynamics of how you need to better yourself and improve. If performed correctly, the step of affirmation, we will begin to grasp the types of action that we must take to address the shortcomings and inadequacies that were revealed in the acknowledgement stage, step 1. Finally, during step 2 affirmation, we will make a full commitment to bringing that action into manifestation in our lives. And again, just like all good acknowledgements begin with, it is true that I, ... fill in the blank. All good affirmations begin with the phrase, I will, ... fill in the blank. I will do this about this dynamic. I will take these actions. You're not doing those things yet. You're committing to doing them. That's why it's an affirmation. It's the formulation of a deep commitment to action before doing the action. In the first step, you're saying how you're wrong. In the second step, you're saying, I will correct this. In the third step, you make the correction. And then that could sound like, oh my God, that's so common sense. It's almost stupid. It's so simple, it's silly. Yeah, that's my point. And most people never do this, not even for 1 second. When it's pure, elegant simplicity, but no one said it was easy. It's still difficult to do. It's difficult work to do. But it's very simplistic and elegant in its simplicity. So let's look at some different dynamics of the affirmation dynamic of shadow work. The first thing to understand about affirmation is understanding what truly effective affirmations are. So there's ways that you could affirm something that are terrible, that are bad ways of going about doing it, and they're not best practices. And then there are other ways you could affirm something that are absolutely the best way of going about doing it and best practices. And that's what I delineate in my work. I don't want to teach you half-assed methods. I want to teach you the best methods available. So it should be noted that good affirmations are about firmly committing to positive change, not wishy-washy, alleged commitment. Not just say, oh, maybe I'll do this. I could do this, if I rearrange some things. Maybe I'll do this. I might. Screw all that language. You have to say firmly and with definitive commitment, I will. And no one will stop me. I will do this. That's it. That's it. You have to get it into your mind that you will do it and then exert your willpower to do it. And folks, hey, I get anybody can say something like that. But again, how many people are actually saying it and trying to teach it to people and instill it in people? See, this is what parenting should have done. all the parents out there that shat out a kid, just shat one right out, and then they don't want to teach their kid any good habits. This is the problem. And then they leave it to spiritual teachers to teach their own fucking children what they should have taught them as a parent. And then people want to wonder why I'm a little bit bitter, why I'm a little bit annoyed. I don't want 8 fucking billion children on my hands. I want to take care of myself and improve myself and not worry about having to get on 8 billion fucking psychological children. Because that's what most people out there are. True affirmations are not about claiming what is possible. Oh, that could happen. What might happen, or what you think you should do. It's not about what you think is possible. I can do that. Well, great for fucking you. You can. Are you actually gonna? Anybody can do anything. It's like in Seinfeld. Oh, I took the reservation. I don't think you understand what taking a reservation means. It means the car should be here. Anybody can just take a reservation out of the blue. One of my favorite Seinfeld scenes, you know? But did you really understand the assignment? Did you do it? Affirmations are about telling yourself what you will do. They're about laying a solid and firm foundation for positive change by firmly stating what you are going to make happen by an act of your will, even if you don't currently know how. You do not need to know how the affirmation will work out or how what you are saying you're going to do will be carried out in the future. You don't need to currently know that to make an affirmation. So, a poor example of an affirmation would look like this. It might be possible for me to learn how to make a video explaining the immorality of government. Maybe I could do that. You know, I might be able to figure it out. That's a shit affirmation, quite frankly. Okay? That's not how you want to commit to right behavior. You don't want to do it in wishy-washy terms. Maybe if I have enough time next year, I'll start learning how to make a podcast and then put out information about natural law to people. Garbage affirmation. Here's a good affirmation. I will learn how to create videos that I will publish online that will teach others about the immorality of government. There's a great affirmation. You see the difference in quality? Do you see the difference in commitment? Do you see the difference in passion? Do you see the difference in energy? You have to get passionate and confirm. Again, affirm, confirm. Standing on a solid, firm foundation of what you are going to do, what you're going to make happen. Not what you're going to wishy-washily wish will happen. Anybody can do that. You know, I'll take a bunch of reservations for the cars and then not keep the car at the rental place. You know, there's wishy-washy behavior, just like people make wishy-washy affirmations. I will do this and nothing will stop me. That's a good affirmation. That's how an affirmation should sound and work. So let's look at some examples. Make a proper affirmation to heal your own worldview. Because again, every section begins with this. It all begins and ends with worldview, ladies and gentlemen. If the worldview isn't healed, the individual cannot heal, and certainly the world doesn't heal without healing worldview. That will never happen. That's something that is impossible. If you think you're going to heal yourself and the world without first healing worldview, forget it. Forget it. You got to know what human nature is. You got to know how change comes about. You got to know that it's possible. You got to know how to commit and affirm to true change. And then you got to do what you know to be right. Stop following orders. Stop even condoning people who are involved in or believe in government. That's all part of the worldview change that needs to happen. And that's part of the paradigm shift in consciousness that hasn't happened. That was allegedly projected coming around in the year 2000 or 2012. Well, where the fuck was it? It didn't happen. We went deeper into bondage. We went deeper into chains. We went deeper into slavery. Not further away from it. Because people have become wishy-washy, anonymous fucking cowards sitting there flinging, doom scrolling on their fucking phone instead of actually making real-world content that they could propagate to the masses of people to morally educate them. If personal healing through shadow work does not begin with healing one's own poison worldview, then it will rarely proceed beyond that point. We must put aside the erroneous worldview that both religion and politics push upon us, that human nature is inherently bad, and that we must have external control forced upon us through these institutions. We must heal our worldview to fully grasp that human nature is simply a programmable and changeable state. The degree to which it will change is entirely dependent upon the quality of information with which we program ourselves. A good affirmation regarding the dynamic to heal one's own worldview is this: I will heal my worldview to the extent that I fully realize that change is possible if we work hard enough to meet the necessary requirements. Do you see how that affirmation works out? You're telling yourself you're going to do this. I'm going to heal my worldview. I will understand what human nature really is. I will teach it to other people. I will understand that change is absolutely possible, and I will propagate that to other people. I won't continue poisoning worldview. Make an affirmation in the second stage of shadow work to stop putting others you care about on a pedestal. I talked about this in the last section, and this is the work to actually make an affirmation to stop doing it. Don't put anybody on a pedestal. We should all be equal in our rights, and nobody should be looked up to as more than or less than anybody else. Much of what we believe about ourselves, our capabilities, and our potential exists in a story in our minds that came from other people. We're telling ourselves false stories all the time in our minds, and they're not even our own. We didn't even invent these stories. They came from other dumb motherfuckers that think they know better and think, oh, we're the propagators of conventional wisdom. Well, what the fuck has that done? What has it accomplished in this world? What has it achieved? What has it made better? Goose fucking egg is what it's made better. It's made the whole world worse for the telling of these bullshit stories. And now they're just bouncing around in people's heads rent-free. They're telling themselves all kinds of bullshit stories. And these come from other people, often the people who were around us early in our lives, like parents, teachers, family members, friends, etc. We must make an affirmation to release the image of ourselves that we previously allowed others who we cared about to create in our minds. They created these images of ourselves in our minds and what our potential and capabilities are, not us. So an affirmation like that involves realizing that the opinions and evaluations of others regarding our characteristics and abilities are often completely misperceived and flat out wrong. They're just stupid. They're just not accurate. Their perceptions are just skewed and flat out incorrect. And once again, it doesn't mean you need to totally lose complete respect for any person that ever did that, but you can't put them up on a pedestal and say things like they did the best they could. No, they didn't. They failed at doing the best they could. If they did the best they could, they would have programmed with correct information, not bullshit stories that aren't true about how the world works, when they don't know shit about it. You don't know balls about how the world works. So you should shut the fuck up and stop programming your kid with doom images about their own capabilities and what's possible in the world, because you don't know a fucking thing about it. So just shut the fuck up and listen and take in the truth about it from sources that do understand how those dynamics work, because they're actually learned individuals, unlike ignoramuses like yourself. That's what you got to say to parents. Get the fuck out of the way of the truly intelligent who are trying to change things for the actual better. Half of the people who shit out kids are just dumb motherfuckers that don't know how one thing in life works. They don't even have any life skills. Oh, they could shit out a kid real good, though. Stop putting parents, teachers, people in the media, whatever, clergy members on a fucking pedestal. It does no good for anybody. It damages the world even further. Through shadow work, we learn to stop putting people we care about on a pedestal just because we care about them. We must realize the unfortunate truth that we often allow our view of ourselves to be molded by others' perceptions and expectations. Our view of ourselves is molded by their bullshit. This leads us to diminish our own ability to self-actualize and to become the best version of ourselves, because we're believing their bullshit story that they programmed based on their programming that was done to them by somebody else. And on the fucking bullshit and abuse cycle goes. A good affirmation regarding this dynamic is this: I will stop putting my parents on a pedestal. They have incorrectly evaluated my abilities and potential. I have allowed their incorrect assessment to hold me back from the achievement of my full potential as a human being. Just read that again. Really sink this one in, folks. This is ultra important. Listen to this affirmation and its quality and its intent and its passion. I will stop putting my parents up on a pedestal. They have incorrectly evaluated my abilities and potential. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I have allowed their incorrect assessment to hold me back from the achievement of my full potential as a human being. More powerful words have scarcely ever been written. How many people have ever said that to themselves or even thought it? Yeah. And people want to wonder why the world's going to hell in a handbasket at 1,000,000 miles an hour? Because people aren't doing any of this introspection at all. Or if they're doing it at all, they're doing it half-assed. How about an affirmation to truly yourself become holistically intelligent? Again, the real way to become conscious and aware is true holistic intelligence. It's not about engaging in one aspect of the brain and the mind or the other. It's about combining them into one holistic understanding. So intelligence isn't intellect alone, the masculine dynamics of the mind, like logic and science and math and analytical thought. That's only half of the equation. Nor is just creativity or nurturing, compassion or intuition or big picture thinking, correlative thought. That's not the whole factor that creates intelligence. Those are the feminine qualities of the mind. Real holistic intelligence is the combining and coming together of both of these dynamics, the masculine and the feminine, the intellect and the creativity and intuition. And this is not the Star of David or even the Seal of Solomon. This is the chalice and the blade coming together. The male and female combining in the chemical wedding that really illuminates the mind. So that's what real holistic intelligence is. How many people make an affirmation or a commitment in their own lives to stop dwelling in one form of brain imbalance or another? And folks, I see it in the people who joined up for this seminar. I see all kinds of brain imbalance in them. Holistic intelligence is definitely still somewhat scarce and more than an arm's reach away. I don't want to have to say that, but when I see some of the things people do and say and think, it's like, whoa, we are so far the fuck away from where we need to be. It's a joke. It's a bad joke. So make an affirmation to actually turn on the fire within the mind and become really intelligent, truly intelligent. A dumb person can become a smart person. It's true. An ignorant person can actually become a truly holistically intelligent person if they work hard enough at it. That is possible. You are not committed permanently to remaining ignorant. With all the information that exists in the world, the ways that you could reprogram your mind and your consciousness and your intelligence is unlimited. It's your laziness that keeps you from doing it. Holistic intelligence results from the balance of the brain hemispheres. It's part of where it comes from. Not entirely, but this is one of the dynamics that you have to heal if you're going to really become holistically intelligent and maintain holistic intelligence. You have to have brain balance between the hemispheres of the brain. Cohesive synergy between both hemispheres, meaning you're using all parts of the mind, not just some or another. So holistic intelligence results from the balance of the brain hemispheres, achieving the elevation of both intellect and creativity. This is true spiritual intelligence, also known as common sense. That's another word we could call a phrase that we could call holistic intelligence. It's common sense. That's why there's so little of it in the world. Most people don't have common sense. They're not holistically intelligent. And common sense defeats ignorance, the first of our four primary destroyers of human consciousness and freedom. If you don't have common sense, you're allowing consciousness and freedom to be destroyed. A good affirmation regarding the dynamic to become holistically intelligent is this: I will develop holistic intelligence. I will develop the kind of big picture thinking that is critical to the manifestation of true freedom. Understanding causal factors, gathering enough data and knowledge, truly understanding it by poring through that and making critical assessments through logic, and then doing the right thing with what you have come to know and understand. That's all holistic intelligence and common sense. And that's why so few people have those dynamics active and awake and on fire within them. Make an affirmation to gather the information required for true understanding. How many people even go out in search of the correct knowledge? Or how many people just formulate their bullshit opinions based on their own feelings and aren't actually researching and doing data gathering? One of the main factors that prevents true understanding from overcoming ignorance and confusion is believing that you know enough to take action when you don't. When you have not even yet gathered enough information in order to develop a deep understanding on any particular topic or issue. You haven't gathered the grammar. This is why I said in section 1, a little learning is a dangerous thing. You can't learn a little bit or go by your emotions or intuition alone. You have to gather huge bodies of data and pour through them and deeply understand them before you ever commit to rhetoric or action. We must affirm to stop putting rhetoric or action before grammar, knowledge, and logic, which is understanding. You can't put action before knowledge and understanding. The trivium doesn't work that way, and neither does life. A good affirmation regarding this dynamic to first gather the information required for true understanding is this: I will gather the necessary information to understand true objective morality and to understand what I must do to communicate it to others. I will gather that grammar. I will gather that knowledge. I will understand the truth regarding those things, and then I will act upon them in that order, in the order of the trivium. How many people ever make any kind of a commitment to like that, to the truth and to knowledge and to information gathering and true understanding? Most people never speak that to themselves for 1 second, not 1 instant. Most people have never thought about it for an instant. And that's why most people don't have the information that they need. They're acting before they've gathered the necessary grammar and before they've actually understood it. That's taking the trivium completely upside down, out of order. And you do that, what's going to result? Good things or chaos? Connected with true holistic intelligence and information gathering, we have to activate heart-based intelligence. Once again, intelligence, holistic intelligence isn't even just about the brain. That's why I said it's not just about that. You have to combine it with care. And I'm talking about agape care. I'm not talking about loving somebody else. I'm talking about loving the truth. I'm talking about loving freedom. I'm talking about loving what is right. But first of all, you have no commitment or relationship with anybody else if there's not first that dynamic with anybody involved in the relationship with truth and with freedom and with right and with the Creator. That commitment has to come first, one-to-one, and then there can be a connection between people to form an actual relationship. So we have to make an affirmation to develop true agape care, cosmic care. True care, cosmic care, also called agape, is a state of consciousness in which an individual fully realizes the fundamental oneness of humanity. All consciousness, really. It's the end of separation consciousness and the understanding that there's only consciousness and we are an aspect of it. And you have to care about what is right and true in order for consciousness to evolve and grow. That's it. That's agape. In all the major occult mystery traditions, this form of love was expressed via the understanding that, quote unquote, as long as anyone is suffering, we are all suffering. This was the mystery tradition knowledge of particularly what they referred to as the second degree of the mysteries. When you were entered into the mysteries, you had to learn about the importance of knowledge. But when you went into the second degree of the mystery, so the first degree was called being entered. Usually you are an entered apprentice. You are apprenticing in your knowledge gathering. And you're being shown how to gather knowledge eclectically. That's the first step of the trivium process. The second stage is you have to understand how you have to apply that knowledge before applying it. And you have to develop agape care in that stage. And this was the hardest barrier to pass in the mystery school teachings and traditions, because most people didn't have that firm commitment to truth, to true love, to true care, and to freedom and the expansion of consciousness. They just wanted things for themselves. Again, worldview. Worldview, it takes place, the healing of worldview takes place in the heart. And that's why this was almost an impenetrable barrier, the second degree of the mystery traditions. And when you finally did make it to that stage, it was called that you passed. That was the real test. Could you display agape, cosmic care? And that's why attaining the second degree was called you have passed. You have passed to the second degree. You enter, and then you pass, and then you become a master in the third degree, because now you're actually taking action. That you have the knowledge and you understand what needs to be done, and now you become a master. You master yourself and your passions and skills and instincts by actually doing the behavior. Folks, what does this sound like? This sounds mysteriously like shadow work. I don't know. Maybe it is. This is what the actual occult mystery traditions were trying to teach people for thousands and thousands of years. And look at where it got us, because people didn't take it seriously enough. Not enough people actually engaged in it and kept the traditions alive. And now it's got us, the remnants of it are old men's clubs, and the whole world's on the precipice of complete annihilation and tyranny and enslavement. That's why we need a rediscovery of those principles. We need a revival of occult principles and a revival of these mystery traditions. The second degree question was, how do you know that you're suffering? And the answer is, as long as anyone is suffering, I am suffering. As long as anyone is suffering, all are suffering. That's agape care. This is the spirit through which we are empowered to defeat apathy, the second of the primary destroyers of human consciousness and freedom. As long as we stay in the selfish, egotistical, satanic mindsets of indifference and apathy, continuously craving only comfort and pleasure, true care remains deadened within us. We don't achieve the state of agape care. A good affirmation regarding the development of true care is, I will develop the characteristic of true care within myself. I will work upon my heart-based intelligence and rise to the level of consciousness that will defeat apathy within me. I will care enough to get on the battlefield in the war against tyranny and enslavement. Do you hear the qualitative aspect of a good affirmation, ladies and gentlemen? This is what needs to be grokked, what needs to be deeply understood if we're really going to make a commitment to performing the type of alchemical shadow work that we need to upon ourselves and in helping other people achieve these states of consciousness. We're so far away from it. It's so saddening that so few people ever discuss any of these dynamics. And they're just talking about fucking politics and money. I mean, you got to be kidding. At this late stage and at this late hour, that's what people are delving into instead of this type of material? We have to affirm to understand the true causes that create the effects that we experience. True causal factors have to be deeply understood, and we need to commit to understanding them. Only when we deeply commit to accurately understanding the relationships between our life experiences and their true causal factors will we begin to affect real positive change both in our individual lives and in humanity as a species. Only when you understand causality does power truly develop within you. If you don't have those causal factors in hand, you're wandering blind in a desert of bogus ideologies. Good affirmations regarding causality are, I will discover and understand the causal factors that have led humanity to its current state of slavery, because there are plenty of true ones that are out there. Or something like this, I will understand the true causal factors for my current state of disease and ill health. How about that one? Plenty of people want to complain how they're sick, but they don't want to understand the causal factors that led to their ill health. How about this one? I will develop an accurate understanding of the causal factors for my fear of direct engagement in the war for human freedom. How many people delve into their psychology deeply enough where they're even understanding their fears and why they're not involved? You got to probe into the depths of your fear and conquer it. Hardly anybody is a public speaker in the world on these topics. That's why it's not going well. But billions of people, millions and millions of people will take jobs to lie to people on the mainstream media. Oh, they'll do that real quick for that paycheck. Don't you worry. Millions of professional paid liars out there in this world. Hardly anybody that wants to speak the truth.